Hey, Dr. Shakib here from Irvine Spinal Wellness Center. I'm with Coach John talking about hip joints, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. I'm here with Coach John and we're talking about hip joint. That has to do with you if you're a desk jockey, if you are a runner, if you are a cycler, if you do jiu-jitsu, whatever exercise you do that really jams up your hip joints. John, what do you think? Do you see that a lot?
Yeah, so a lot of us, we get kind of caught up in just flexion, extension, as in just sitting, standing up, walking, when really if you look at the hip joint, it's really multifaceted. It can do a lot of different things. And if we're not taking our hips and our legs to those ranges of motion, we're going to kind of lose that. So it's good to get back to it.
And you know, I want to make sure you guys know that hip joint is not just staying in your hip area. Hip joints translate into knee problems, ankle problems, certainly lower back problems, and failed posture. So if your hip joint, which is a ball inside a socket, so like on John, this is the socket on this side and that's the ball. If the ball is jammed in and internally rotated, it's kind of turned in, well, it's going to stay there and that's going to create a lot of issues later on. So for athletes, what do you recommend when you're dealing with your athletes? What is your recommendation for as far as exercises are concerned to open up the hip joint, or does it only involve the hip, or do you go to the surrounding areas?
Yeah, so it really depends on what I'm trying to get out of my athlete. If they're just weak in those areas but they can move into those areas, that'd be one thing. If they can't connect to those areas outside of just flexion and extension at all, and that's another story. And then I'm gonna have to ask different from these two different athletes depending on the situation.
So let's discuss both of those scenarios.
Okay.
Can we go on 1X here? What kind of exercises do you recommend?
So
for like the first group versus the second?
So if someone they can't get into those ranges at all, and they can't control their legs in those ranges, I'd recommend a hip 90-90.
Okay.
I think we went over this in the
previous
video.
Yeah, but let's do it again.
Okay, we'll go over it again.
This maybe, yeah.
It's more of a passive stretch that, because we're on the ground, can we see it?
Yeah, we can go on the ground.
Because we're on the ground.
You can see this, right? Farther back.
Let me back.
All right, let's redecorate some. There you go.
Because we're on the ground, it's not as applicable to athletics, because on athletics we're going to be on our feet. We're on 2 feet doing things around us. But to begin to get into those ranges, I start with hip 90-90. This is a move that it's pretty difficult. Even if you consider yourself pretty flexible, once you get into this move, you're going to be feeling it in your hips, you're going to be feeling it everywhere. So 2 main things. So we're going to get into a position, hip 90-90. So first leg's at 90 degrees, back leg's at 90 degrees. First point 1, I want you to be upright as much as possible. We don't want to be bending over front forward just to begin, just trying to remain straight up. If you have to put this left leg or this left arm on the ground to keep yourself up, that's fine, but use it as little as you can. Imagine that someone has a little fire and they're going to try and burn you, so you're going to pull yourself away from the fire.
Oh, good one.
You're pulling yourself away, and right immediately you're going to feel it in your glute. You're going to feel it in your glute and a little bit on your thighs. And so you just want to chill here. Just if you've never done this, just chill here and try to remain upright and go for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and then you're going to switch. So there's a switch involved, but to begin, just get up like this. It's a little difficult to do the switch. We're going to take this left leg through internal rotation and this right leg through external rotation. So I'm a little more restricted on this area. We're going to try to remain upright, and we're just going to chill here.
Now, for those of you who cannot do this, there's like no way your hip joint's going to open up. Here's a version I recommend, which is a DNS move, and it has to do with this.
Are you going to demonstrate it?
I'm going to actually demonstrate it. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with a 90-90 that John is showing, and if you're like leaning that way, that just means that this hip joint is just not relaxing enough, and the surrounding muscles are not relaxing enough to kind of let you be more upright. You want to engage your barrels, which I've done a video here. We're going to make sure that we put at the end of this so you know what the heck that means. and then you're gonna just simply rotate to the side, go down on the floor with your elbows on the floor, stack right underneath your shoulder joint. You're opening up the back, the top of your back, as if you're going to serve hot tea. It's a table, you can't spill it. So think in those terms. You're gonna go there, you're gonna open that up, engage your barrel, and when this is like not allowing you, you are okay to extend the top leg a little bit, to drop that a little and have this going. That's a very nice version of opening the hip joints and stretching the opposite glute while you're maintaining your torso in a rectangular fashion that I always tell my patients to do the exercise correctly. So what happens if you don't do the hip joint exercises? You're basically gonna injure yourself, whatever exercise it is that you're doing, whatever activities it is that you're doing, and that becomes a problem. Anyway, this is a very good version 90-90, and what I just showed you is a great beginning exercise to open up your hip joints. It's a great exercise for injuries, for preventing injuries, and basically bringing yourself up to par to where you need to be in order to participate in your activity and your athletics long term. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, check us out on our website, and thanks Coach John.